What if drafting was easy and every first overall pick was a hit? What if those teams actually selected the best player in the draft? Well, we're going to make that dream a reality today because we're going to take a look at every team that has drafted first overall since 2000 and draft the right player. Every year I look at it, it's going to be in a vacuum. It's not going to affect the draft order or the position I select for the next year because this ain't the MCU. There's no cinematic universe here. So without further ado, let's go back in time to 2000, where the Cleveland Browns selected Courtney Brown, edge out of Penn State. This one's a bit unfortunate because injuries kind of derailed Brown's career. He ended up only playing 6 years in the NFL. But there is an obvious selection here, and given the meme that is this Browns jersey, which some say the Browns are still looking for a quarterback today. Well, we got one right here with the 7-time Super Bowl champion, the GOAT, Tom freaking Brady, who was selected in the 6th round out of Michigan. Wing, wang, bam. I just solved your quarterback issues for the next 20 years. Promise the selections get harder after this. In the 2001 draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Michael Vick, QB out of Virginia Tech. Now, I almost kept this one the same because Vic was just ahead of his time. He was such a dangerous playmaker, and maybe if he was more of a cat person, I could justify not changing this pick. But we're going with Drew Brees, quarterback out of Purdue. This guy has had a great career, and that's put it mildly. He currently sits second all time in passing yards and passing touchdowns, and I stay awake at night just thinking, he should have been a Dolphin. Why did we sign Dante Culpepper instead? Why? Fins up, baby, fins up. In the 2002 draft, the Houston Texans select David Carr, quarterback out of Fresno State. There's no way a rookie quarterback should have been thrown into a situation like this. Houston just returned as a franchise after the Oilers left in 1996. This team was at the beginning of a rebuild. It had no high-end talent. Carr was doomed to fail. That's why we're going to make this selection Julius Peppers, edge out of North Carolina. I almost considered Brian McKinney for this pick, but Peppers played more years in the league, currently sits 4th all-time in sacks. Sounds good to me. Real quick, I gotta give a shout out to today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. I absolutely love Underdog Fantasy because I love football, and now that the football season is far and away, it doesn't mean my betting season has to be because they do all kinds of sports, whether it's baseball, basketball, esports even. They got you covered, whether that's weekly best ball or my favorite, higher lower on player props. So if you sign up at Underdog Fantasy using promo code Broshmo, then they will give you a first time deposit up to $250. That's right. That's right. So if you're gonna go and bet with Underdog Fantasy, use promo code Broshmo, take advantage of this offer, but please bet responsibly and bet within your means. In 2003, the Cincinnati Bengals select Carson Palmer, quarterback out of USC. Carson Palmer was the best quarterback in this class, and honestly, he had a pretty fine career, but in 2008, he had that UCL injury in his thrown elbow, and it just kind of derailed his career. He would have a resurgence 7 years later with the Arizona Cardinals, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change this pick. So I went with Terrell Suggs, edge out of Arizona State. This pick came down to if I wanted coverage or pass rush. Palomalu or Suggs. Both had great careers for teams that were division rivals of the Bengals, but ultimately I leaned into the guy that had a little bit more longevity. And honestly, the thought of pairing Suggs up with Justin Smith is just too freaking fun. I mean, chef's kiss. In 2004, the San Diego Chargers go with Eli Manning, quarterback out of Ole Miss. Eli didn't want to play for the Chargers, so we could cut to the chase here and just select Phillip Rivers. However, I got another idea. There's still a young Drew Brees there on the roster who just won his starting job back at the end of the season. So let's invest in him by getting him a Hall of Fame wide receiver in Larry Fitzgerald, wide receiver out of Pittsburgh. Fitzgerald is 2nd all-time in receptions and receiving yards, and he's 6th all-time in receiving touchdowns. Yeah, buddy. In the 2005 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Alex Smith, quarterback out of Utah. Alex Smith ends up having a very fine career, but there is no doubt the better quarterback was selected at pick 24. That's why I'm taking Aaron Rodgers, quarterback out of Cal. He currently sits 9th all-time in passing yards, 5th all-time in passing touchdowns, and he's been relatively healthy over his career. Sorry, New York Jets. In the 2006 draft, the Houston Texans select Mario Williams, edge out of NC State. This was a good draft, but not a great draft. I almost decided to stick with Mario Williams since the best quarterback in this class is Jay Cutler. But listen, if I'm going to stick with David Carr at quarterback, if I'm the Texans, then for goodness sake, we're going to get him some help along that offensive line. We're going to get him a little bit of protection. That's why I'm going with Andrew Whitworth, offensive tackle out of LSU. Whitworth sticks around the NFL for a long time and he never really had a down year. He was only under 800 snaps 3 times in his 16-year career. In 2007, the Oakland Raiders select Jamarcus Russell, quarterback out of LSU. Literally anybody in this draft class would have been a better option than Jamarcus Russell. He is probably the biggest draft bust in NFL history. And the unfortunate thing about it is, well, the next 2 players after him, Joe Thomas and Calvin Johnson, they was kind of good. That's why I'm going with Calvin Johnson, wide receiver out of Georgia Tech. This was a tough decision. This truly was. But ultimately, the Raiders had some young talent on the offensive line at the time. Not that really any of those guys worked out, but they did just ship off Randy Moss on day 2 of the draft to the Patriots, leaving their wide receiver room pretty barren. So I had to go with Megatron. In the 2008 draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jake Long, offensive tackle, Michigan. Unfortunately, Long's career would be derailed by injury, but why did the Dolphins go quarterback? Their quarterback room was Trent Brown, Cleo Lemon, and John Beck. Now, they would draft the backup stud himself, Chad Henne, in the 2nd round. But why didn't we go quarterback? That's why I gotta go Matt Ryan, quarterback out of Boston College. He is currently 7th all-time in passing yards, 9th all-time in passing touchdowns. Plus, how fun would it be seeing Ryan face the Patriots twice a year? 28-3. May it never go away. In the 2009 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Matthew Stafford, quarterback out of Georgia. This is probably the worst draft class I came across so far, and I can confidently say Matthew Stafford was the correct selection. We're going to stick with him here. He is the best quarterback in Lions history, and poor team management and coaching squandered one of the best quarterback and wide receiver duos of the 21st century. Eventually, the Lions would ship off Stafford for Jared Goff and valuable draft capital, so hey, that's hella good. In the 2010 NFL Draft, the St. Louis Rams select Sam Bradford, quarterback out of Oklahoma. So Mark Bulger was coming off injury and just multiple down seasons, so replacing him is ideal. However, it was just kind of the wrong draft to do it. The top quarterbacks in this class are Sam Bradford, Tim Tebow, and Jimmy Clausen, so I have to go another direction. So I went with Trent Williams, offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. And you know, I think I might have went with Antonio Brown here if he wasn't such a head case. But Trent Williams has been one of the best tackles in the NFL, even today, at the ripe age of 36. Mamma mia. And also the Rams, currently their tackle situation ain't looking so hot. Jason Smith ends up being a bust, so the tackle help probably would have been much appreciated, much obliged. In the 2011 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Cam Newton, quarterback out of Auburn. We're sticking with this pick. I mean, Cam Newton's probably the best quarterback in Panthers history. During his tenure, he took them to the Super Bowl. He had an MVP. And to be fair, the next best quarterback in this class is Andy Dalton. So, yeah, it's got to be Cam Newton. This class did have a lot of good talent, though. Like, you could sell me on like Von Miller, Patrick Peterson, Julio Jones, AJ Green, JJ Watt. But for me, quarterback is a hard position to pass on, especially when you do it right. In the 2012 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Andrew Luck, quarterback out of Stanford. Now, this one's pretty unfortunate because Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin, as a matter of fact, both these guys end up retiring earlier than they were supposed to because of injuries, and they were off to very promising starts in their career. But now that we got that hindsight, we have to go elsewhere, and I got to go with someone who's unlimited.
Mr. Unlimited.
So I'm taking Russell Wilson, quarterback out of Wisconsin. I'm taking Mr. Unlimited himself. He's been to 2 Super Bowls, he won 1, and he's been a very good quarterback for most of his career. Yeah, his play fell off in 2021 after the finger injury on his thrown hand, but there's no denying the player he was before that. In the 2013 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Eric Fisher, offensive tackle out of Central Michigan. Yeah, we're going to be changing this sucker, and this might not sit right with some of y'all Chiefs fans because I'm going to pass on Travis Kelce for DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver out of Clemson. Wide receiver is just a more valuable position. And I know we're talking about a top 2 tight end all time, but when you go to the stats, Hopkins is beating Kelce in every significant receiving category. On top of that, he's played more games, so I'm giving Hopkins the edge here. In the 2014 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Jadeveon Clowney, edge out of South Carolina. Yeah, Clowney was a bit of a late bloomer and unfortunately not for the Texans, so we're going to go ahead and change this pick to Aaron Donald, defensive tackle out of Pittsburgh. AD is arguably the best defensive player of my generation, and pairing him up with JJ Watt sounds like hell to opposing offenses. Like, literally just a nightmare to deal with. Donald is a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year and an 8-time All-Pro First Team selection. The dude is a legend. In the 2015 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Jameis Winston, quarterback out of Florida State. Listen, I love Jameis Winston. I love him, but there was no quarterback that warranted the #1 overall pick, and unfortunately, this wasn't a great class to pick from. I was looking through some of the options like Zadarius Smith, Danielle Hunter. Ultimately, I decided to go with a wide receiver since Vincent Jackson was about to turn 32 for the Bucs. And I was down between Amari Cooper and ultimately who I selected, Stephon Diggs, wide receiver out of Maryland. Diggs just edges out Amari Cooper in every major receiving category. And honestly, Diggs is kind of a better fit for Mike Evans, who was now going into his 2nd year, while Cooper would have felt a bit more of the same if paired up with Evans. In the 2016 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Jared Goff, quarterback out of California. I thought long and hard about this pick, and I even contemplated maybe just drafting Chris Jones to pair up with Aaron Donald because that would be sick as hell. But at the end of the day, the Rams did pay a pretty little penny to move up to this selection, so it always had to be quarterback. And I'm changing it to Dak Prescott, quarterback out of Mississippi State. This is like the most minuscule of upgrades. Like, Dak narrowly edges out Goff, but Goff does have the Super Bowl appearance, so I don't know. To me, this is kind of a pick-em. I'll leave it up to you. Let me know in the comment section. In the 2017 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns selected Myles Garrett, edge out of Texas A&M. Garrett has been everything the Browns could hope for and so much more. But this pick has to be quarterback. We know the meme. This pick is quarterback, and fortunately, one of the best quarterbacks of potentially all time is in this class. And his name is Patrick Mahomes, quarterback out of Texas Tech. He's currently doing his best Tom Brady impression. He has been to 4 Super Bowls. He has won 3 of them, and he's not even 29 years old yet. How can you pass up on that? In the 2018 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Baker Mayfield, quarterback out of Oklahoma. Now, Baker Mayfield had a promising start for the Browns his rookie year, but unfortunately, things just kind of fell apart. But we're going to stick with the quarterback position, and we're going to take Josh Allen, quarterback out of Wyoming. He is arguably a top 3 quarterback in the league, and he is just a pure alien in terms of size and speed for the position. In the 2019 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Kyler Murray, quarterback out of Oklahoma. This was an extremely difficult decision because when Kyler Murray is on the field, he is a top 10 to top 12 quarterback. However, the dude has been banged up. He hasn't played a full season since 2000. And you got guys like Nick Bosa, Max Crosby, Quinnen Williams, Josh Allen. Not you, but you have guys like that currently on the board. So it's an incredibly difficult decision. And for now, I'm going to keep the pick the same, and I'm going to side with the quarterback, hoping he can stay healthy, but I might revisit this video somewhere down the line and have a change of heart. In the 2020 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Joe Burrow, quarterback out of LSU. Now, there's some nasty corners and receivers in this class, but Joe Shiesty is a top 5 quarterback. I know he was banged up last season, but I imagine he is going to return healthy. He's going to look good, and someday he's going to get that Super Bowl ring that slipped through his fingers in 2022. In the 2021 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars selected Trevor Lawrence, quarterback out of Clemson. There were 5 quarterbacks selected in the first round in this draft, and Trevor Lawrence is the only one still on the team that drafted him. Matter of fact, he got a very hefty payday recently. Has he cemented himself as the guy in Jacksonville? No, but I'm willing to bank on that he might be. So I'm going to keep this pick the same. We have seen flashes of that potential, that brilliance. I think he could hit that ceiling. For goodness sake, this guy single-handedly put an end to Minshew Mania in Jacksonville. He's probably going to be the best of all time then. In the 2022 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars selected Travon Walker, edge out of Georgia. Trent Baalke gonna Trent Baalke. He likes them big, he likes them fast. And while we have seen some flashes from Walker, I'm gonna go ahead and take Aiden Hutchinson, edge out of Michigan. You can certainly sell me on Sauce Gardner at this pick, but I'm gonna stick with Hutchinson. He's just gonna edge out Sauce here. Both are elite at their respective positions. However, cornerback is much more of a volatile position that is helped by depth rather than individual talent. Hutchinson, he was second in the league in pressures and 5th in pass rush win rate. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to snag the pass rusher they should have took. In the 2023 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers selected Bryce Young, quarterback out of Alabama. Listen, the verdict's not out yet on Young. I think he could have a bounce back year in 2024. I still believe in the talent, but we got to change this pick. So I'm going to take CJ Stroud, quarterback out of Ohio State. If I had a nickel for every time someone said in my comments section during the 2023 draft cycle that Ohio State quarterbacks, they don't pan out in the NFL, I had to come to his defense so much. He was number 3 on my big board. And now people look back at that and are like, wow, you were pretty low on CJ Stroud. You can't win. You can't win. But hey, yeah, he was offensive rookie of the year. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and make him the selection. I'm not going to do a 2024 redraft. Caleb Williams, as far as I'm concerned, is the correct selection. But let me know if you would have changed any of these picks yourself in the comment section below. You can go ahead and check out some of my summer deep dive videos in the 2025 NFL The Draft class. I'm currently doing that right now. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.